It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. Thanks for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and if this is your first time tuning into this program, which runs Saturdays at 8 and Sundays at 10 right here on the Big Talker, this is where we talk about all things residential real estate. I like to take national, regional, local news, market data, my experience as somebody that's been in the top 1% of agents in our market since 2009, and then tell you, the consumer, what's going on in the market. So if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, or if you just like to stay up to date with current market trends, that you have the information necessary to make an informed decision. So I'm in the studio this morning. Any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, feel free to call into the studio. I'd love an opportunity to answer your real estate-related questions. The number here is 843-556-1250, 843-556-1250. Now, if you'd like to reach out to me personally, you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, you can call my cell phone personally. That number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And on that website, you can look at everything for sale, everything I've sold, search the MLS, read more about me and my experience. And if you're thinking about selling your thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about what I do to market my properties for sale, and you can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to for that. So let me tell you what I want to talk about over the next hour or so. I usually call into WTMA in the morning show on Friday mornings around 7:45, 8 o'clock-ish, and just give a few brief notes, talking about the real estate market. And this Friday, I talked about, does staging actually help you sell your home for more money? Are buyers willing to pay more for a staged home versus, let's say, a vacant home? So I want to talk about that first. A little later on in the program, we'll talk about Zillow and Trulia and everything that you need to know from a buyer's standpoint and from a seller's standpoint. And I'm going to give you my opinion from an agent standpoint. And I think that's going to be a really important segment for you to understand. A little later on, there was a report that came out recently saying that several homeowners are still drowning in debt, that there's a large number, over 7 million people, still extremely underwater, meaning that they owe more than 25% more than their house is worth nationally. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how that could be possible in a market like this where prices continue to rise. And we're going to talk about how to actually look at the sales data that you might see online or on Zillow or read in Post and Courier. I'm going to give you some real information to go off of here so that you understand how to read statistics in our real estate market. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some tips to get through the rest of 2015, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, just some things that I'm noticing right now in this market that I think are going to be helpful for you. So that's what we're going to talk about here over the next hour. Again, if you have any questions, call into the studio. I'm going to just rifle off a bunch of information, but would love to be interrupted by your question, your call. My number here, 843-556-1250. And again, feel free to reach out to me personally if I can help you in any way, shape, or form. The website to go to, listingsincharleston.com. So let's talk about this home staging dilemma here. People go back and forth with regards to whether or not staging is worth it. I work with a lot of sellers. That's the majority of what I personally do in this business. I have buyer agents on my team that work with buyers and investors. Most of my time is spent working with sellers to sell their home. And I mentioned last show that we had a big week last week. We wrote our 100th contract. So, we're in the market. We're doing this a lot, all day, every day. And so when I meet with the homeowner and we talk about staging, the first thing that I want to differentiate between is staging versus decluttering versus decorating. Okay, so to me, I think when people think of staging, they think of buying new furniture or bringing new furniture in to a vacant house. And so that's what I want to focus on first. And then a little bit later on, we'll talk about redecorating and decluttering, because I think that needs to happen anytime you're in a home that you've lived in and you've lived in comfortably, but that it might appear cluttered to the eye of a buyer. So the National Association of Realtors puts out some really good information from time to time, and for the first time, they have put out a report that's called the 2015 Profile of Home Staging. It has some really interesting information in there. But they surveyed a bunch of real estate agents, buyers, and sellers, and came up with some statistics for us to better understand the impact staging has on the home buying and the home selling process. And they said that 49% of the realtors that were surveyed who work with buyers believe staging usually has an effect on the buyer's view of the home. They said another 47% believe that staging only sometimes has an impact on a buyer's view of the home. Only 4% of realtors said staging had no impact on the buyer's perception of the home. So obviously staging has an impact, but let's take that a step further. Realtors on the buyer's side believe that staging had an impact in several ways, meaning that 81% said staging helped buyers visualize the property as a future home, while 46% said it makes prospective buyers more willing to walk through a home they saw online. So I'm going to stop right there for a second and just say that when you're marketing a property for sale, 95% of the time, people are going to go online. And it's also important to know that 70% of online traffic comes from a mobile device, a tablet, a phone, so on and so forth. So if your home is staged and it looks good online, chances are you're going to have more showings than all of those other listings out there. And I talk about this all the time on this program, but it really does bug me. All those other properties out there that were photographed using an iPhone, or the pictures just don't look good. You know, you're selling a $500,000 home and there's a picture of a couch. Like, well, that doesn't do anything for me. Show me the family room. Give me a nice wide-angle lens view and let it be a nice, bright, open, airy room so I can see out of the window, not this really dark room that I can only see out of the window, or a really bright room with a totally hazed over window that you can't see through. Anyways, sorry for getting off track there, but photography is incredibly important, but what you photograph is also important. It has to be staged in a way that's going to appeal to buyers. So anyways, moving on with some of these statistics, 45% said that a home decorated to a buyer's taste positively impacts the value. So let's switch things over and let's talk about the seller side for a second. Only a third of real estate agents utilize staging on their homes. Now, I will say that as part of my marketing plan, anybody that wants staging advice or use of their own furniture and decorations inside their home, I am more than happy to stage your home at no cost. I've learned my lesson the hard way with this. I had a listing appointment a while ago, and it was a large house out in Somerville, I think, and it was about 4,000 square feet, newer construction home, and they just had a lot of space. They had a lot of misplaced furniture. Obviously, they were interviewing several agents, and so as part of my consultation with them, I walked through with them, and I gave them about a 4-sheet document that says, with this room, do these things. With this room, do these things. I gave them a staging plan, which took me a little over an hour to do as we're walking through the property. And they said, great, thank you very much. We'll be back in touch. Things look really good. And, we really look forward to working with you. And then I got a call a few days later saying, well, Brian, ultimately we decided to list with a different agent because, they decided to reduce their commission a lot, and we just saw the value in that, so we decided to go for it. And I said, well, did they offer staging? And they said, no, they didn't offer staging. And I'm thinking to myself, well, they don't need to offer staging because you just gave them the whole staging plan, you idiot. So from now on, anybody that wants to work with me and have their home staged, again, I'm more than happy to help you with that. And it's fun for me as a real estate agent to help you do that. It's one of the fun things that I get to do. You get to, take someone's furniture and create a space that I think is really going to appeal to the buyer. But I will do it after we sign an agreement. How about that? So moving on with this staging information, just a third of real estate agents nationally use staging. I think it's important to do some element of staging every time. but it says only 13% tend to stage homes that have difficult rooms or that are difficult to sell, and only 4% do it for high-priced homes. That's fairly shocking to me, considering this report says that the median cost spent on staging is $675. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of money if you're selling a home for hundreds or $1 million plus $1,000. Okay, I like to take the furniture that's already in the house and just make it look nice, make the room look open. I walk into a lot of homes and they've got the blinds closed, and then they've got curtains over the windows. It's dark. You need to brighten up your house. That doesn't cost any money. Just open your blinds. Or we've got a bunch of stuff in the family room that doesn't need to be there, like a dog crate and stack of papers and a ton of magazines and this, that, and the other. It's easy to move that stuff out of the room and have the family room look like a family room and make it look as big as possible. So all of those things shouldn't cost you any money. It's just a matter of reconfiguring what you already have to appeal to buyers. But here's the big questions everybody's asking is, hey, Brian, all these statistics are nice, but what does it do to the price? Well, realtors believe that buyers will offer between 1 to 5% more on a staged home versus a vacant home. There's your stat right there. I've talked with several staging companies, and they have all kinds of stats, more than I do, more than this report includes, but they say that a staged home sells for more money. And with all of the listings that I sell on this particular issue, I'm going to agree. I do think that when you stage a home, it will sell for more money. But let's talk about that for just a second. Is it going to necessarily sell for more money? Maybe, but it should sell faster. And if it's a vacant home, every month that the property sits vacant without a contract costs you money. So it might not necessarily make you money, but it could help save you money depending upon how much money you spend on the staging itself. So if you have any questions about staging, you're looking at selling your home, I am more than happy to help you stage your home as well as do everything else that I do to help you market your property. But we're going to keep talking about this. We're going to talk about Zillow and Trulia next. Everything you need to know from a buyer or seller standpoint, I'm going to talk about. And call into the studio if you have questions or you want to share a story. 556-1250. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA. Expert news and views on the Low Country real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. If you're just joining us, we were just talking about home staging and the impact that has on your home and whether you're buying or selling. It does have an impact on the process. And so the bottom line that we got to at the very end there was that buyers typically are willing to pay between 1 and 5% more on a home that's staged versus a home that's vacant. So any questions about that, feel free to give me a call, 843-556-1250 in the studio here. And again, this show runs on Sundays too, so I'm in the studio right now, live. But Sundays, if you have questions or if you want to get in touch with me, best thing to do is call my cell phone, 843-345-1273, 345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And you can take a look at every property for sale on that website, learn some more about me. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about what I do to market my properties for sale. And you can also learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. So listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to for that. So what I'm going to talk about next, I have talked about in a few different ways on this program over the past 3 years or so that I've been doing this program. And that's a discussion around Zillow and Trulia. And what I want to do is talk about the impact that it's having on buyers, sellers, and then on us as agents, so y'all understand kind of what's going on behind the scenes here. So I think the way that I want to open this up is, and again, if you have any comments about any of this, I would think that some people out there listening have something to say about Zillow or Trulia. So Any questions or comments, a story you'd like to share, call into the studio, 843-556-1250. And it doesn't have to be about Zillow or Trulia. It could be about anything real estate related. I mean, I've got my stuff that I'm going to talk about, but if you have anything you want to discuss, feel free to call into the studio, 556-1250. Let's use Zillow as an example. Has everybody seen that commercial where a couple is sitting on the couch and a guy is on his iPad and he's searching through listings for sale, and his wife is laying on the couch eating a bowl of cereal with her feet propped up, and he said, "Oh, this house looks nice." And then one thing leads to another, and she says, "Did we just decide to buy the house? Yay!" And so this commercial, to me, I almost cringe every time that I see it, because for me, when I see that commercial, immediately what I think about is Zillow is coaching buyers to look at properties first and contact agents for that property to purchase that specific property. My concern with that is that buyers should be contacting agents first so that they have proper representation. So let's just pretend that you were that couple in that commercial. You're going to contact that listing agent that already represents the seller, not the buyer. They're going to ask a bunch of questions. They're going to try and get as much information as they can. And if they end up working with that listing agent, they're going to be in a dual agency situation. The listing agent cannot represent the seller and then go and equally represent the buyer and give the buyer everything that they want. They are going to be in a limited agency relationship. So part of the issue that I see when people use Zillow or Trulia is that it's coaching buyers to go and look for the properties first and then contact that agent that has that listing. And that's the way buyers, I mean, let's be honest, that's the way buyers have always done it. They drive around, they look in the newspaper, they go online, they do whatever it is that they want to do to search for a home, and then they contact that particular agent. Now, the majority of the time, that house ends up not working out for them, and then the agent sells them something else. But the bottom line is this: if you're a buyer, you should be going after agents first. You should tell them what you're looking for, and you should have a competent agent representing you and your best interests before you start talking to a listing agent. Because let's be honest, if a buyer calls a listing agent, and we know the listing agent represents the seller, and the buyer starts rifling off all this information, "Oh, we love the house. How soon can we buy it? How soon can we get there? You know, this, that, and the other." Let's say that, taking that scenario, the buyer were then to contact me, and they want me to represent them as a buyer to purchase that property. Well, if that buyer has already spilled the beans to the listing agent about how excited they are about that property and how willing they are to seemingly pay what the sellers are asking, that's going to hurt our ability to negotiate. Don't you agree? So part of the problem with Zillow and Trulia and all these websites is that, in my opinion, it's coaching buyers to look at the properties first rather than hiring a buyer agent, which costs the buyer no money, by the way, to go into the marketplace and find the best deals. The other issue with Zillow and Trulia and some of these other websites is that you don't know what's under contract or what's active. And some of them don't even have the full gamut of available listings in our MLS. Some homes just don't appear on Zillow and Trulia. Some homes don't have the right price. Some don't have the right status, as I mentioned. Now, the great thing about Zillow and Trulia, something that they're doing much better than real estate agent websites or real estate company websites can do, is that they give you all that extra information on schools and taxes and price history, and they allow you to jump around and see what's sold in the area or what's active in the area. And so from that angle, the reason buyers are using Zillow and Trulia is because they're offering more information than just a general real estate agent's website. I would have to spend a ridiculous amount of money to create a website that could compete with Zillow and Trulia, and it wouldn't make sense for me to do that. So for agents, it has become a necessary evil. That's where buyers are going because that's where the information is. The issue is Zillow and Trulia are using our listings to get business that we as agents now have to pay for. I have to pay for memberships. I have to pay for leads through Zillow and Trulia, when in reality, they're just trying to contact me about my listings anyways. So I have to pay for my own leads. but it's because we have failed to provide the public with good enough information to retain those leads. So if you're a seller, what does Zillow and Trulia mean for you? Here's what agents aren't telling sellers. They're going into these listing appointments and they're saying, your home will be on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and Homes.com and this, that, and the other. You'll be on a few hundred websites and you'll be on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and so on and so forth. And so the seller hears that and they say, okay, great. We'll be on Zillow and Trulia. Yeah, I know a lot of people use those websites. Great. What the agents aren't telling you is that those websites are membership-based websites. So let me explain it this way. I, as a real estate agent, could use Zillow, and I could use the free version of Zillow, and I could put your home on Zillow, and it not cost me anything. However, if I were to use the free version of Zillow to market your home for sale, let's say an interested buyer inquires about your home. If I'm not paying a membership fee, that interested buyer's contact information does not come to me. It goes to some random real estate agent that's paying for leads in that zip code. That's why you see that list of agents on the right-hand side or on the top or the bottom of the page, because they're paying to be there, because the majority of listing agents are too lazy or they're too cheap to pay the membership fee to retain their own leads. So if you're a seller, that's a problem. The problem is if a buyer is trying to contact me about a listing that I represent, and I, as the listing agent, know more than any other agent about that property, if I'm not paying a membership fee to make sure that I can control that conversation between the interested buyer and myself, then that buyer is going to be put in the hands of another real estate agent. What is the goal of the other real estate agent? Not necessarily to sell my listing, it's just to sell them a listing. So obviously for all those agents out there that are marketing on Zillow and Trulia, they're paying to retain their own leads, and that's important that you understand the difference there. A lot of these agents are putting your property on Zillow and Trulia and so on and so forth, but they're not paying membership fees, so that if you go and you look at your own listing on these websites and you don't see your listing agent's name, all of those interested buyers are just being routed elsewhere to other agents that are willing to pay for leads in those zip codes. And they're taking the leads from the agents that are too cheap to retain their own leads. So again, from a seller's standpoint, you want to hire somebody that can not only market your home in as many different areas as possible and have it look as professional as possible, but they have to be able to retain that lead. Again, if those buyers are going elsewhere, then we've lost that opportunity for the most part, because those agents are going to sell them something else. And they can't answer the questions like I, the listing agent, can answer questions about your property. Okay. I've got a few more things to say about Zillow and Trulia, but I think I'm going to save that for later discussion. Unless you have some questions and you want to call in and you want to ask your own question, or you want to get a story straight on your end, the number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. 843-556-1250. Now, if you want to contact me personally, you want to have a more in-depth discussion about marketing and what I do to market your homes for sale. Again, we've already done 100 transactions this year, on pace for about 200 closings. We'd love the opportunity to earn your business. So if you're thinking about selling your house, give me a call personally, 843-556-1250. That's the number here in the studio. Or call me, 843-345-1273. That's my cell phone number. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the market and how it's recovering and how it's possible that we still have nearly 8 million people underwater on their mortgages. All that and more as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Have a real estate question? Ask Brian Beatty. Send him an email, lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com. That's lowcountryhomesales@gmail.com.
The Big Talker, WTMA.
Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. I always like to take just a brief moment and say thank you very much for those of you that tune into this program and use it as a reliable source of real estate-based information, whether you're thinking about buying, selling, investing, or you just like to stay up to date with what's going on in our market. You use this program as an opportunity to learn more, to broaden your horizons, and to stay up to date with what's going on so that you're an informed consumer. And that's what I like to pass on in this show, is just to try and inform as many people as possible with what's going on in our real estate market so that you can make a wise decision when it comes to buying, selling, or investing. Now, before I took a break, I was talking about Zillow and Trulia and the impact that it has had on buyers, sellers, and agents. And, there was one thing that I didn't really mention, and that is, and you know what, I'm actually going to take a quick break here, and we're going to go to Robert downtown. Robert, how are you this morning?
All right, Brian. I have a question. I've, sold about a dozen or so properties in my life.
Okay.
And almost all of them I've sold with tiered commission.
Okay.
And 90% of the agents I talk to, their eyes get like they're caught in the deer caught in the headlights, have no idea how to even calculate a tiered commission. Why are so many agents just completely ignorant of how to do that?
Well, I think that it would make sense first for you to explain what your tiered commission is.
Sure. Let's say I've got a property. I'm willing to take $200,000 as a price. That's my rock bottom.
Uh-huh.
I take 90% of that and say I'll give you a 4% commission on 180, and then 50% commission for every dollar over 180.
Okay.
So that gives them an incentive to get me the most money that they can, and an incentive for the selling agent to get their guy to pony up as much as he can.
Right. Now, are you using a tiered commission on the buying side as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm selling.
You broke up there for a minute, Robert. Can you say that again, please?
No, I use tiered commission when I'm selling.
Okay, so is it just for the listing agent, or is it for the buyer agent as well?
Well, no, I mean, that is the commission that'll be split between both agents.
Okay, so it starts at a 4% and it goes up from there?
Well, it's 4% on 180, and then 50%. They split. They get 50 cents of every dollar over 180.
Okay.
And it's a property that would appraise and a reasonable value is 200.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this, that it's a little bit different from what we as a market are used to. Part of what might be leading to their misunderstanding is something called a net listing. A net listing is not allowed in our MLS or in our state, and basically a net listing means that if you can sell it for, and this is where they're probably getting confused, but a net listing essentially states that, let's say that you sell the home for $190,000, but your goal was to sell it for $180,000. So if you can sell it for more than my goal, then you can keep 50% of the proceeds from that sale if you sell it for more. I doubt that that's what they're thinking, but that it could be that. But
I can't see how. I've given them examples. I've sat down and explained it to them, and I'll always find an agent who says, "Yeah, I understand what we're doing. Yeah, let's do that."
Yeah.
And you never had a problem. It just seems that so many agents, especially the buyer's agents that come in, they just are completely lost.
Yeah. Well, it's again, it's a little different from what we as a market are used to, but I would also say that the majority of agents lack creativity. So if that's something that you want to do, it's something I've done in the past. I actually did that with a property that I sold myself. So if that's something you want to talk about further, let me know. I think that he call just got dropped, but tiered commissions, that's an interesting one. You don't see that too often in our market. All right, well, let me get back and talk about this news story that I saw on CNBC. And if you guys don't follow Diana Olick with Realty Check, she is an awesome chick, man. She really gives it to you straight. She does not sugarcoat anything. And when our market was kind of down in the dumps, she was the person that, in my opinion, was the best voice of reason for our real estate market. So I follow her intently because I think that she just does a great job of letting us know what's going on in the market behind the scenes and how to interpret all of this data that we see on a daily basis. And so she wrote an interesting article a few days ago, and it basically said that with home prices still rising and the economy improving, there's still something going on behind the scenes that people aren't talking about, and it's the 7.4 million borrowers that are still seriously underwater on their mortgages as of the end of June. Now, they define being seriously underwater as owing 25% or more than their home is actually worth. So let's say that your home is worth $100,000. They owe $125,000 or more. Now, we've got 7.4 million homeowners in this situation right now. That's down from 9 million homeowners a year ago. But the interesting thing is 13% of all properties with a mortgage right now are in this predicament. 13% of all mortgages. And it's actually a little bit of an increase from the first quarter of this year. So how can this be with prices still rising? Well, it depends on how you read the data. It depends on how you interpret those prices. Now, the Association of Realtors reported that the median price of a home sold in June reached its highest level in history. The median, however, means that half of the homes sold for more and half of homes sold for less than that median price. To me, it's very, very difficult if you're a homeowner to go off of the median home sale price increase nationally. Frankly, it should mean just about nothing to you, if I'm being completely honest. It's a great story to tell. It's a good measure of where we are as a market in general. But I have said over the past several years that I've been doing this program that looking at month-over-month statistics is pointless for the most part. And doing month-to-month comparisons is pointless. I like year-to-date numbers because it gives you an idea of where we are this year versus the same amount of time last year. But taking something like median price, let's say that the median price across the board increased 5% last month. Does that mean that your home appreciated in value 5% last month? No. I'm sorry, but it does not. The problem is people look at this information and they say to themselves, okay, well, if properties have risen 5%, and I see all these other people that are listing their homes in my neighborhood at higher and higher amounts, then reason stands to believe that I can ask 5% more than what the most recent sale was. Really, the problem is you don't own the entire market. You just own a single house within it. So the only way for you to get straight on the actual value of your home and how it's changed is to communicate with a real estate agent or an appraiser and have a very firm understanding of what your home will sell for today in today's climate, based on inventory in your price range and area, based on everything under contract, and based on everything that has sold in the past 6 months or so. And to have a really close look on price and how the condition of your home and the upgrades within it compare to everything else on the market. So we've got all these people that are still underwater. We've got prices that are rising. We've got sales that are rising. You know, if you look at the statistics for our market, the average price range for all the homes that have sold so far this year is a little over $307,000. The highest price sale we've had is $7.7 million. And so if we have all these properties that are selling at higher prices, that is going to shift the median up. The median just means the middle number in that huge pool of data. It's not the average, it's just the median. So all of this information that I'm telling you should be perceived to be positive information. Obviously, we still have people behind the scenes that are still hurting, that still need to sell their home. And if you think about it, the lower price range has recovered first in our market. So they're the ones that have seen the appreciation. They're the ones that have been able to go on the market and that now have equity and that are able to sell. But as our market continues to improve, you're going to see these higher priced homes regain some equity. They're going to go on the market. They're going to sell, and that's going to shift that median price up, which is, I think, what's driving stories like this, the Case-Shiller Index reporting 4.9% increase in pricing, the highest in history, or whatever the case might be. The bottom line is, if you want to know what your home is worth and you want statistics on your home, contact me and I'll tell you what's going on in your area. My number, 843-345-1273. That's my cell phone. Or go to my website, type in your address. I'm happy to send you a report, tell you what your home is worth without seeing it, given the understanding that it's going to be plus or minus a few $1,000s. Listingsincharleston.com is the website to go to. And again, you can look at every home for sale on the MLS. And if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. Listingsincharleston.com. I'm going to take a break. And when I come back, I'm going to give you some tips that you can use based on current market trends so that you can make the most out of buying, selling, or investing in a home right now. All that and more as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston, and thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Any questions? We've got a few minutes left. Call into the studio, 843-556-1250. And we're going to go straight to the phone lines now to Dennis in Goose Creek. Dennis, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you, Brian?
Doing very well, thank you. How can I help you?
I'm kind of curious about how you've determined some facts on selling your home. If we have a single-family brick home, about 1,300 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
But we bought it at the peak of the market in 2007.
Okay.
And I had the closed cell foam insulation seal the attic and crawl space.
Okay.
And then being in Berkeley County, I have SCE&G for natural gas, and I changed some of the appliances over to gas.
Okay.
And the home is highly energy efficient, but Berkeley Co-op doesn't give you credit for energy efficiency.
Okay.
How do you market that to help bring you up, that you aren't comparing the other houses in the neighborhood that have sold that
right.
After they sold, they found out the foundation was cracked and they had settling problem. They put in $30,000 worth of repairs.
So did that happen at your house, or you're saying that that's what you're comparing your home to in your neighborhood with the foundation issues?
That happens to be the only. It's sold as a short sale. And that's the only house that's sold in my area in like 2 years.
Gotcha. Wow. Okay. Well, here's the simple answer. Everything in your house is worth something to somebody.
Right.
The determination is how much. So when we market your property for sale, just off the cuff, something that I would do would be, of course, to tell people that you have spray foam insulation in your crawl space and in your attic, which helps reduce energy bills.
Yeah.
And then we're going to market the average cost per month of your utility bills.
Right.
Most buyers ask for it anyways. Depends on what kind of price range they're in. So, obviously, if you're buying $1 million home, it doesn't necessarily matter how much you're going to spend in utilities. But in the lower price ranges, it matters to people because they're on a budget.
Yeah.
So we're going to market that, and we're going to say this home is incredibly energy efficient, and that the sellers have incurred the expense to make sure that the new buyer that owns this home is going to be one that benefits from low priced utility bills. It's incredibly energy efficient, and by the way, if they want to store stuff in the attic, there's only a few degree differential between the main home and the attic, and they're not going to have moisture related issues underneath their house, or they shouldn't have. I'm not going to say they're not, but they shouldn't have moisture related issues underneath their house. So there's a bunch of different ways of spinning that kind of information. I had the same thing done to my house. We had spray foam insulation in our crawl space and in our attic, and
it makes a world of difference.
It makes a big difference, and you know what? It's not cheap either.
No.
So
in 2007.
Gotcha. Well, if that's something that I can help you with, John can take your information down, and I'll give you a buzz after the show. But I appreciate you calling in. Do you have any other questions or anything else you want to discuss?
No, that and just I'll take a buzz after the show.
Okay, very good.
It'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for calling in, Dennis. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, so let's just finish up the last few minutes that we have here and discuss a few of the tips that I've come up with based on current market trends to make sure that you're staying ahead of the game and that you can use this information to your benefit, whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So I'm going to start with buyers first. If you're a buyer and you're looking at properties in this market right now, I think it's incredibly important for you to take notes and for you to get on the same page with your real estate agent. It's not like the market was a few years ago where if you walk through the home and you don't like it, it's not a big deal because there's 30 of them that are the same down the street. We're dealing with reduced inventory. So when you have reduced inventory, you have to look really long and hard at the properties that you've expressed an interest in because there's not a lot of them. And if you look at a property and it ends up not being one that you want to buy, then the real estate agent you're working with has to know that so that when they go back to the drawing board, they know what to look for. The really good buyer agents in this market right now are the ones that are picking up the phone and calling buyers and saying, hey, this property just hit the market. How soon can you meet me at the property? Rather than all the other real estate agents out there that they'll set you up with an MLS search, and every time a new listing hits the market, you're going to receive an email. And when you check your email, that evening before you go to bed or that weekend when you get around to it and you see something you like, just let me know and we can go and we can see it, blah, blah, blah. No, the agents that are really doing well and are doing justice for the buyers that have hired them are the ones that are picking up the phone and saying, hey, you need to look at this house now. This is a good deal. This is what you want. So buyers, take notes and have good conversations with your buyer's agent. Sellers, it's very important that we sell by season. Right now, it's hot outside. But you know what? Pretty soon, we're going to have leaves that are going to start falling. Your yard isn't going to look as good as it does right now. So right now is your opportunity to highlight things like patios and other outdoor areas. Inside the house, I would swap out dark towels, dark curtains. I'd try and make things look as light and bright as possible. Put flowers out, things that smell nice inside your home. But really the most important thing that I can tell a seller right now is to focus on the outdoor living space because that's what buyers are looking for. That's where their mind is right now. You're not going to be able to do that in November and December because it's going to be cold and because people, for the most part, don't want to spend a lot of time outside. So if you're a seller, really focus on the outdoor areas and just make those look as good as you possibly can. The other thing that I would say to sellers right now is I would sweat the small stuff. Things inside your house like decluttering your kitchen, taking things off your countertops, making sure your bathrooms are clean, decluttering your living spaces. All of those things matter because although we're at the height of our selling season right now, we're actually, if you really think about it, starting to kind of tail down just a little bit. If you look at the properties that are going to start listing and then going under contract, if you list it now, it'll be under contract 60 to 90 days from now. It'll close 30 to 45 days after that. So if you list now, with that 90-day cycle, you're basically looking at a closing sometime in, October, November, December. So it's really important for you right now, if you're going to put your home on the market, to understand that you're competing with homes that listed in April and May that are not yet sold, that have already been through the ringer. They've already made all those changes necessary based on what buyers are telling them to make sure that their home is as appealing as possible. So you're a little bit behind the eight ball if you're just putting your home on the market, but all that means is that we need to hit the market with everything as close to being done as possible. So that's another tip if you're a seller. I'd say that if you're an agent and you're looking for business at the moment, we've got a lot of people that are vacationing in our area. And it's a great opportunity if you're thinking about buying or selling a second home, something out at Isle of Palms, Wild Dunes, Sullivan's Island, Folly Beach, so on and so forth. At some point in the somewhat near future, the buyers for those properties are going to stop vacationing here. They're going to be doing other things. It's not like vacations slow down or stop, they just slow down. So if you have a vacation property and you're looking at selling a second home, I would highly encourage you to put that property on the market now because the number of buyers that you're going to have, you will see start to tail off here over the next 6 to 8 weeks, I would say. And so those are some of my tips. If you're thinking about selling, buying, investing in real estate in this market right now, we've talked about a lot this morning, but if you have questions, you're looking at hiring a real estate agent. As I mentioned, I've been one of the top agents here in town since 2009. We'll hopefully sell close to 200 homes this year, and we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. So feel free to call me personally at 843-345-1273 or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. And remember, on that website, You can look at everything I have for sale, everything I've sold. Search the MLS, and if you're thinking about selling your house, click on the Sell Your Home tab. You can learn more about my 59-day home sale guarantee at 4.5% commission. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks, Charleston.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning from 8 till 9. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.